O'Neill reaffirms cabinet decision on Gari Baki. New evidence of Hanuabada shooting presented to police. And business back to normal in Kokopo after earthquake struck.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
Good evening and welcome to Friday's news. Thanks for joining me. One day after sacking the police commissioner, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has reaffirmed the cabinet's decision, saying the police force should expect changes with Gari Baki at the helm. He was speaking in Lae City, which has had its share of police-related incidents over the last 24 months.
After yesterday's announcement of the removal of Gari Baki as police commissioner, the Prime Minister arrived in Lae to officiate at the start of the Prime Minister's golf challenge. Then, after teeing off, he reaffirmed the NEC's decision announced late yesterday. The decision based on a breakdown of command and control and an increase in reported violent incidences by police.
We have made this decision very much aware of the challenges that the police force is facing. Over the past 12 months, we've seen a decline in the morale of the policemen and women.
Gari Baki has re-inherited many of the problems he left behind in 2011 when the government ended his contract prematurely. Those problems include the lingering police housing shortage, instances of police abuse, and investigations into shootings that have tainted the image of the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary. The Prime Minister expects the now former head of the National Intelligence Organization to help restore public confidence and respect for the constabulary.
We are investing as a government record amounts of money into the police force, but the outcomes that we are receiving is very much negligible, and that is why we had to make the change.
The Prime Minister has specifically mentioned the police modernization process, something which he says has not been progressing well under the former commissioner. Scott Wide, National EMTV News, Lae.
Well, newly appointed police commissioner Gari Baki has been tasked to speed up and oversee investigations into the January Hanuabada killings. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill said this is one of the priority areas the new police chief has been tasked with. Mr. O'Neill wants a complete report into the Hanuabada killings and see discipline and command in the police force. He spoke at yesterday's conference when announcing the appointment of Gari Baki.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill made remarks yesterday that the police force has seen a breakdown in command. Mr. O'Neill said this has left no choice but to appoint a new police commissioner.
There has been lack of communication between the minister's office and the commander's office, former commissioner's office. Lack of reports coming through on how the state of law and order in the country has been concerning to government. So we have been thinking hard and long about this decision, and that is why we have made this decision today. It is necessary for the good of the country.
O'Neill said newly appointed police commissioner Gari Baki will settle in and be tasked to handle investigations into the Hanuabada killings.
Responsibility of the new police commissioner, one of his first and foremost responsibility is to attend to that particular case. We will allow the police to do their work.
Mr. O'Neill said the government is yet to receive a formal report from the police hierarchy over the Hanuabada incident.
In fact, even today, government is yet to receive any formal report on this particular matter. We are just at loss like anyone else. We only hear about these reports in the press.
This week, police investigations revealed that the Hanuabada killings will see a second coroner inquest, as a bullet found in one of the deceased was never connected to any police firearm. The Prime Minister is confident Mr. Baki will redirect the force, as this role is not new to Mr. Baki. Jaglapawa Jr. National EMTV News.
New evidence into the Hanuabada shooting was handed over by the villagers to the forensic team this afternoon. The new evidence includes a bullet retrieved from a surviving victim and empty shell casings from the January shootout at Hanuabada. It took over 3 months to get the villagers to hand over this remaining evidence to police.
Assistant Crimes Commissioner Donald Yamasombi clarifies to the media and the Hanuabada people that the investigation into the HP shooting has not ended yet. He explained that a coronial file has a closing date of 12 months. In between, it can accommodate for more evidence. Mr. Yamasombi also slammed the Hanuabada reports released by NCD and Central Acting Divisional Commander Jerry Frank as premature, as the findings are still inconclusive and should not be made known to the public.
So the statement to say that the fragment does not correspond to a police firearm to connect to that particular offense is premature and it's incorrect. The investigation is still on foot and the process is yet to complete.
The last evidence handed over is a 5.56mm bullet that was retrieved from the body of Nohu Karoho, who survived a gunshot wound to his back during the time of the shooting. Some shell casings were also presented to the forensic team. The compiled report that was presented by Commander Jerry Frank on Tuesday to ACP Crimes Donald Yamasombi is held at the police headquarters for examination.
We are not supposed to be divulging such information to the public. It only creates anxiety and it only creates uncertainty because we are not judges and jurors ourselves. We are only investigators.
Once a second coronial inquest is set, the investigators and the forensic team will assist the coroner on the facts involved in the Hanuabada shooting. With the new evidence presented, investigators will go down to the village to investigate where those evidence were collected. The narrowing down of the investigation now depends on the cooperation of the Hanuabada people and the police. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, Deputy Police Commissioner Operations Jim Andrews has cautioned the mainstream media not to sensationalize reports on public investigations, particularly the investigations into the Hanuabada killings. Andrews' statement follows a report from one of the dailies which stated that one of the bullets that killed Nicholas Rarua was not from a licensed police firearm. He made the statement earlier by the National Capital District and Central Divisional Commander Jerry Frank was premature and will cause anxiety amongst families of the victims. He further stated that in the business of crime investigation, there will be room for new evidence and further advancements, and the media must be cautious not to mislead the public. More discussions are expected between Papua New Guinea and neighbour Indonesia next week. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill said there are issues that need urgent address, and the visit by Indonesian President Joko Widodo presents that opportunity. Among issues will be the ongoing West Papua struggle. The Indonesian President is scheduled to visit Papua New Guinea on the 11th and 12th of this month.
It is timely for the new President of Indonesia to visit our country. We've got very strong bilateral relationship with Indonesia. It's building on strength to strength. And we will be discussing, of course, issues that concern the two countries during that meeting.
The public prosecutor, Pondros Kaluwin, today requested Chief Justice Sir Salamo Injia to appoint a leadership tribunal to inquire into allegations of misconduct in office by Boge MP John Hickey and Kagwai-Rava MP James Lagea. Both leaders failed to lodge financial returns to the Office of Integrity of Political Parties and Candidates Commission after winning the 2012 general elections. Section 89 of the Organic Law on the Integrity of Political Parties and Candidates 2003 requires winning candidates to submit financial returns. Both leaders were referred to the public prosecutor by the Ombudsman. Mr. Kaluwin said he has perused the files and found that there is sufficient credible evidence to refer the matter to an appropriate leadership tribunal. Papua New Guinea is amongst the top 4 nations in the world that Israel is eyeing to partner with in developing its agriculture sector. Minister for Trade, Commerce and Industry Richard Maru announced this today upon his return from Israel. Minister Maru said PNG can learn a lot from Israel, and he will be recommending the state to establish a PNG embassy in Israel in the coming parliament sitting.
Minister Maru made a number of important announcements that will see PNG strengthening its bilateral relationship with Israel. These announcements include feasibility studies that will be conducted in Ramu Valley in Medang, Sepik Plain in East Sepik, Makam Valley in Morobe, and the Baya Valley in the Western Highlands province. The studies, which will be aimed at identifying potential areas to grow the different cash crops and vegetables that will be exported out of PNG.
Papua New Guinea is one of the 4 countries that Israel specifically wants to build trade, investment, and very strong bilateral relationship with. You imagine of all the countries of the world, they put PNG among the top 4. And that message was conveyed to me independently in the different meetings, bilateral meetings we had.
Maru said the agriculture sector in PNG will be transformed if we bring in the agriculture expertise, skills and knowledge from Israel and use them in PNG.
So you just see the potential of Papua New Guinea if we ever draw Israeli expertise, technical advice, scientific advice, what will happen to our country? They are now exporting 40 billion a year in export in agriculture alone.
Last month, Maru represented the PNG government and led a delegation to Israel where he attended the 19th International Agriculture Exhibition. The event presented great opportunities for the development of our agriculture sector and was attended by over 35 nations. The conference paved the way for more discussions between the private sectors of both nations that may eventuate into the creation of a public entity fund in PNG to finance large-scale agricultural and commercial activities within the country.
He did a very good job, but we need to have our own office there. So companies can talk to us every day, and investors and other funding agencies.
The move to partner with Israel is expected to see an increase in the output of cash crops and livestock produced in the country. While bilateral talks are expected to continue, the Trade, Commerce and Industry Department is already planning to assist the Israel government to stage its first ever inaugural trade show in the country. Takla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Businesses open in Kokopo 3 days after the earthquake. Also, engineers assess damaged bridge and more women contest in the ABG election. I'll bring you those stories when we come back. Stay with us. Good to have you back with National EMTV News. Well, it's been 3 days since a 7.5 earthquake struck various parts of the New Guinea Islands region on Tuesday. Business houses in Kokopo and Rabaul were temporarily closed but resumed yesterday and today. Authorities have issued precautions on more earthquakes to be expected. The Rabaul Volcano Observatory, meanwhile, brushed off rumors of any volcano eruption, saying the earthquakes are tectonic related and not volcanic. EMTV's Edwin Fidelis reports from Kokopo.
Although the people of East New Britain have become accustomed to earth tremors for many years, Tuesday's earthquake is one of the biggest that happened in recent months. The 7.5 magnitude quake that shook the town of Kokopo and Rabaul has raised fear in East New Britain province. The scare on more earthquake and possible tsunamis has been a topic of discussion on the streets. At the Rabaul Volcano Observatory, senior volcanologist Ima Itikarai explained the cause of the earthquake.
The earthquakes that I mentioned have been occurring as a result of plate movements, which involves the Solomon Sea plate and South Bismarck Sea plate. Solomon Sea plate is subducting beneath South Bismarck Sea plate, and at some point in time the plates lock, pull each other, and as a result of sudden release of that pull, earthquakes happen.
Almost all the volcano and earthquake-related data from volcano-prone areas are closely monitored on this set of computers. The earthquake that happened on Tuesday appears in red waveform that shows its intensity above magnitude of 5. Tuesday's earthquake has driven up the cost of repair for some businesses into several thousand kina. But that doesn't count the cost of other infrastructures like roads and bridges that have also been damaged by the earthquake. Their cost of repair is expected to run into several 100,000 kina. Businesses and schools have resumed as usual after they were closed indefinitely on Tuesday. The Rabaul Volcano Observatory, meanwhile, has dispelled rumors of any possible eruptions.
Rumors are floating around about a possible eruption. I can state that there's no indications at the moment.
Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
The main Warangoi Bridge leading into Pomio district in East New Britain collapsed following Tuesday's 7.5 magnitude earthquake. Provincial Works engineers who assessed the damages say the cost of repairing the bridge might run into several hundred thousands of kina. Vehicles travelling between Kokopo town and Pomio have halted since Wednesday. Once again, Edwin Fidelis reports.
This was the scene at the Warangoi Bridge just a few kilometers outside of Kokopo town. On Tuesday, the 7.5 magnitude earthquake struck the foundation of the bridge. Heavy torrential rains that followed on Tuesday night caused the Warangoi River to flood and washed off the solid foundation under the bridge, and by Wednesday morning, the structure crumbled, cutting off access for vehicles.
So by this morning, this road was already destroyed.
For the vehicles traveling to Kokopo from Pomio district, this is where their journey ends. Commuters have to ferry their goods on foot over to the other side. Pomio district is an important electorate for Rabaul district. 10,000 people from Rabaul live here. They were relocated to the district after the 1994 eruption devastated their villages in Rabaul.
We got about 10,000 in the resettlement. In Gelagel and Clifton, we have about 8,000 people there. But at Sikut now, they will be affected by this. The collapse of the bridge is about, we have about 2,000 to 2,200 people up there at Sikut resettlement area. That's in part of Pomio district.
While Pomio district goes to its by-election, Rabaul district has seen this as its responsibility to construct a temporary bypass as it awaits the provincial government to come up with a plan to build a new bridge to replace this old one. Flooding may have subsided over the past 3 days, but if it rains again this weekend, the remainder of the bridge might be washed off completely. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
The number of women contesting in the 3rd Autonomous Bougainville General Government election has increased this year. The increase has been attributed to more awareness conducted by various organizations for women to participate in politics.
According to the Bougainville Acting Electoral Commissioner George Manu, 34 women candidates are contesting the regional and constituency seats. These women are part of the 342 candidates across the 40 constituencies who nominated to contest this year's 3rd ABG general election. This includes 9 presidential candidates.
Regrettably, only 34, less than 10% of the 342 candidates are women. But we did encourage women to nominate, in particular nominate not only for the regional seats for women, but also the constituency seats.
Bougainville Women's Federation has been advocating for women in politics. However, the federation also condemned verbal attacks by men on women contesting constituency seats, saying it's their democratic rights.
To contest in the open seats. And in that way, we will have an increased number in the House.
For women, this year's election is critical. It's time for a change.
Big plus something, and me like looking at I'm change. Now, this election, current election, me already I'm critical. That's why me like supporting more Mary go inside. Sana.
Women are contesting because they have learned so much, they have experienced so much, and they really would like to participate in the coming referendum in the political arena.
Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
On a related note, all campaigns will stop at the end of this week. This is the warning from Bougainville's Acting Electoral Commissioner, George Manu, urging all candidates to abide by the election schedule. EMTV's Fabian Hakelitz has this story.
This is the final week for candidates to campaign before the 2015 autonomous Bougainville government general election enters into its 2 weeks polling period. Polling begins next Monday, May 11 to 25. Then on May 26 is counting. 5 teams will be dispatched to selected locations around the country: Goroka, Ley, Madang, Port Moresby and Rabaul. Bougainville's ballot papers have special security features and have been distributed before polling.
Security features on the ballot paper is one thing that has been done for our ballot paper. I think it is the first in PNG and the first in the Pacific for ballot paper to have those security features. It is counterfeit proof.
Comprehensive training for returning officers, polling officials, scrutineers and the media have been conducted with the help from the United Nations. The Bougainville Electoral Commissioner's Office has invited international and domestic observers to observe this year's election, Bougainville's referendum decider.
This will be the election that will be electing leaders that will take Bougainville to the date when it is eventually decided on for the referendum.
Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
20 hectares of land have been allocated in Morobe for a trial project that will grow cassava for alcohol production. This is part of an understanding between the Department of Agriculture and SB Brewery. They also hope to turn this venture into a moneymaker for communities who will grow the cassava.
This is the piece of land at Morobe's Arab area that will be used to grow cassava. The Department of Agriculture and Livestock with SB Brewery have agreed to set up a cassava project as part of a trial. Starch obtained from the cassava roots will be used as an ingredient to produce alcohol. SB Brewery has been using imported starch in most of its productions. The project is expected to attract local participation in farming of the crop.
We're anticipating that there will be 3,000 to 5,000 smallholder cassava growers around this locality.
More than 50,000 people within Makam, Nawai and Huengaf districts in Morobe will be engaged as small growers. Planting of cassava is expected to start in July. Minister for Agriculture and Livestock Tommy Tomskol says the project is expected to improve the livelihoods of local communities. The agriculture sector's local production is expected to rise, at the same time cutting down on import costs. Colin Barilai, National EMTV News, Ley.
And now we take a look at the finance news. The Kina closed 10 points lower at $0.3695 in the interbank market, and at Bank South Pacific, our Kina was fetching $0.362, $0.4544 Australian dollars, $0.3179 euro, and 42.91 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, coffee, cocoa and copra and gold all closed the day lower. Palm oil and crude oil closed lower as well, while copper closed the day higher. And lastly, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 82 points higher, the ASX closed at 11 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 9 points lower. The oil search baton takes a dive at Walindi. I'll bring you the details of that and more after the break. Stay tuned. Good to have you back with the news. The Oil Search Pacific Games Baton Relay continued its journey, reaching Walindi Plantation Resort in Western New Britain yesterday. Locals welcomed the baton with a sing-sing on the beach before it took a dive through the waters of Kimbe.
After arriving, it was stopped by two warriors. Then the baton was passed to the local tribesmen, who led the newcomers to an offering of pig and taro. The Sing Sing group performing a cleansing ceremony on the relay team and the baton. At the completion of ceremonies, the baton was passed to one of the Walindi divers, who submerged into the waters off the island. A quick boat ride interrupted by dolphins playing at the bow of the boat. Then it was on to the first of two dives the baton was to make. Divers, gearing up with baton in hand, diving into Joel's Reef. Plenty of coral and colorful reef fish fill the waters. Schools of barracuda, big-eyed trevally, pinfaros and dog-toothed tuna surrounded the divers. A friendly turtle joined in them as they made their way through the water. The next dive was at English Shoal, an isolated reef that rises to about 45 feet below the surface. There everywhere, batfish, trevally, unicorn fish and schools of barracuda. Sharks often present and two white tips making an appearance. The All Such Baton relay continues. Jeremy Moggy, National, EMTV News.
The Civil Registry started distributing the national identity cards and birth certificates today. A total of 500 NCD residents are the first to receive their ID cards and birth certificates. Registrar General of Civil Registry, Dixon Kiragi, also announced that the birth certificate and the ID card are the only legal documents in the country. MTV's Vasinata Yama reports.
Planning and Monitoring Minister Charles Abel issued the NID cards and the birth certificate to first 4 recipients inside the Civil Registry office. While outside, hundreds of people stormed the office waiting impatiently to get theirs. The birth certificates comes free with the NID cards, and the ID cards will valid for 10 years. However, if damaged or lost, a minimum fee of 200 kina will apply to get a new one. Minister Abel says that they are working hard to fasten the registration and processing of every new applicant so that their cards and certificates can be completed within 5 days and be given to them.
We must think of the comfort and convenience of our people, and we make sure that these offices are established to facilitate quick transaction. We don't make them wait and suffer. But one of the problems, of course, is that at the moment there's really only the one office. So what happens? Everybody's coming to the one office and it's creating a bottleneck. So we need to get the central one established in the other offices. But what we've done in the meantime is they're meant to have set up some of the mobile teams outside.
So far, the Civil Registry has registered and processed 3,222 applicants in their database. Mr. Kiragi says they are closely monitoring the registration and the updating of their data. Only yesterday, 810 NCD residents went to register at the Civil Registry. They have 2 shifts that are working day and night to fasten the process.
Making sure that it's not only, do not only know them by figures, but by name and by facial image. But at the same time, it's giving this card free. It's actually quite expensive to produce a card. And these cards are not produced elsewhere. They're actually produced at Waigani.
They will utilize these 2 legal documents to prevent identity theft when accessing government services because they have their own security number. The 4 regional centers will be the next to register. The NID project unit and its partners and stakeholders will train people who are already on the ground in each provinces to carry out the registration processes throughout the country. These are the 500 who registered. They are here to collect their NID cards and their birth certificates. Western Highlands Province, Morobe and Kokopo are the next to register. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill says the ownership of the Games Village will be sorted out after the Games. O'Neill says arrangements are in place with the university and will be finalised when the Games end. Mr. O'Neill said this following questions by UPNG Student Council representatives earlier this week.
This week, the University of Papua New Guinea Student Representative Council raised questions over the ownership of the Games Village. They say comments by Sports Minister Justin Chochenko have displaced their hopes.
Their hopes will be shattered, and for many of them, they don't have a place to go, and they're looking forward to that. So,
the SRC is concerned as the university has not constructed any accommodation for students as enrollments increase.
Students are sleeping in classrooms. They're sleeping in study places. They're sleeping on the forum down there. Common rooms, they have no place to go. If it's going to be what the government is thinking and saying, then that's something that we have to discuss.
However, yesterday, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill said arrangements with the university are in place.
There are agreements already with the university. We will work through those issues after the games. Let us not run ahead of ourselves.
The Prime Minister said after the games it will be sorted out.
The race is still yet to be run, so let's get the games out of the way.
The Games Village is still under construction. It boasts 30 blocks of housing and will accommodate up to 4,000 athletes and officials during the Pacific Games. It is a state-of-the-art building built at the cost of 240 million kina. Jack Lapava Jr. National, EMTV News.
And more updates on the venues with EMTV's Lorraine Genia. That's in True Guy Sports after the break. Stay with us.
True Guy Sports.
Welcome to True Guy Sports. Construction work on the Sir Hubert Murray Stadium has been fast-tracked and is set for completion by the end of May. NCD Governor Pawas Pakep echoed the government's sentiments that the venues will be ready for the games. MTV's Lorraine Genia was on site at the Sir Hubert Murray Stadium today.
In today's venue visit, Governor for NCD Pawas Pakep again gave reassurance to the citizens of Port Moresby, athletes and officials both from Team PNG and of course the visiting nations, that the venue will be completed on time. Now so far 2 grandstands have been constructed. As you can see behind me, the third one will be completed by May. Now, Governor Pawas Pakep also mentioned that the main grandstand wasn't initially planned for the Pacific Games, however, it will be constructed following the Pacific Games for future use.
Plan for the Pacific Games is to have the 3 grandstand up. The main grandstand was not planned for the Pacific Games. So, I want our people to be assured of that, especially the athletes and the officials from around the Pacific, that the 3 grandstand that was being planned is up already. The final grandstand on that side is being done now.
General Manager for Curtin Brothers, Justin McGann, was also on site. He gave an update on the construction work that is yet to be completed and said their only concern is the seeding of grass on the playing surface.
Constructing this stadium a long while ago, and it's taking us a long time to get to this point. But the stadium to the south here, which is the final stadium that we need to construct for the Pacific Games, it will be completed by the end of May. So all of the seats that the Governor referred to have all been prefabricated. They're all at Motor Care Island. They just need to be transported in.
Mr. Stewart also made mention that the Games Organising Committee is looking forward to the Games and the use of the Sir Hubert Murray Stadium in particular, given its significance with Port Moresby's history.
Really excited to be using this venue that has a long history associated with the Pacific Games, and it will be the home for football during the Games period. Competition will start here on the 3rd of July and will continue through to the 17th.
Lorraine Genia, National, MTV Sports.
Well, Netball Papua New Guinea has announced their final 16-member train-on squad who will be preparing for the Pacific Games in Port Moresby. The team comprises of a mixture of both experienced and younger players who are set to make their Pacific Games debut come July.
The national netball team, PNG Pepes, are to head into final preparations for the upcoming Pacific Games. The final 16-member team includes 2 overseas-based players, Tiata Baldwin and Courtney Abel.
Yes, they bring experience based on the fact that they've been playing in higher competition, but that is something that the local girls are trying to do, is to make up on the fitness as well. But it's a good, good addition to the team. But at the end of the day, it's who wants it more, and that's how we've managed to select the final 16.
The team will now undergo the final phase of the high-performance training program. The PNG Pepes will be boosted by fresh young talent who have shown their potential at the recent Fiji tournament played between Fiji, Singapore and Papua New Guinea.
It's they have the talent. They've got what it takes to be an international player, and in a better way to show that here at home. And it's always a young girl's dream to play for a country, and most of these players have had the opportunity to go play outside of Port Moresby, outside of PNG. But this is a big opportunity. Everybody wants to play in front of the family, in front of the friends, and home soil, and it's going to be a good opportunity. We were very impressed with the young players.
The team will also be banking on the senior, more experienced players including Lua Rickies and Winnie Mavara. The final phase of the training will include week-long practice matches in Queensland, Australia, before the team will be cut down to the final 12 before the games in June. Dion Kombang, National EMTV Sports.
A 15-member shooting team has been selected for the Pacific Games. With an average score of 24 out of 25, lead shotgun shooters in the qualifying rounds, Angus Donald and Beatrice Gator, are among the team members. Mel Donald and Peter Lay lead their respective 25-meter pistol events. The team will gear up for their final competition before the Games at the end of this month.
Whoa. After completing a successful 18-month training regime both on and offshore, the shooting team have been finalized for the Pacific Games in July. From a squad of 28 shooters competing for a spot, 12 have been selected. In the men's team, 2001 and 2005 Arafura Games junior shooting champion Angus Donald was named alongside Peter Lay, Darcy Lay, and will be competing in both the pistol and shotgun events. While Denny Wama, Jason Yip, Nick Constantino, Sibona Mairi Jr. and Molly Hidaka will each be competing in a single respective event. After completing the qualifying rounds in the respective competition in March and April, both Beatrice Gator and Mel Donald have been named in the women's shooting team. All 7 women will be competing in the pistol events. Among the challenges that the shooting team face, there is now a delay in the import of ammunition from Australia due to regulations set by the US State Department and the use of old range equipment. Despite the delays and limitations set, the shooting team is gearing up for another competition on May 23rd at the Brisbane Gun Club. Scholar Sengi, National EMTV Sports.
Still to come in Trukai Sports, NSL and cricket. Stay with us for the details.
Trukai Sports.
Good to have you back with Trukai Sports. Hekari United FC have unofficially claimed the minor premiership title, their 10th in as many seasons of the NSL. Lay City Dwellers have secured second spot, while a single point separates Madang and FC Port Moresby for third place. With Lay on a bye, Hekari meets FC Port Moresby this weekend and Madang to meet Admiralty.
The last time Hekari met FC Port Moresby, it ended in a 0-0 stalemate and frustration visible on both camps, with that result being the only scoreless match in the tournament to date. Early on in the season, FC Port Moresby had faltered. However, in recent weeks, the team has seen a resurgence with Harry, Hilary Jenkins and Neil Hines now hitting their stride. Hekari's Tommy Sammy is the talk of the town. The striker is joint second on the goal scorers ladder, equal on 10 with Raymond Gunemba and 1 goal behind Nigel Dabinyaba. But his recent surge could see him take that mantle if he scores over the weekend. Madang FC are 4th on the table. A draw or a loss against Admiralty will see them maintain that position. And although coach Francis Moyap has come under fire from factions of Madang fans, he has the full support of his management and the backing of a very strong squad. Admiralty's recent good form will make this a strong encounter. The results from this weekend's finals matches will not affect who plays in the semi-finals. Regardless of the results, the top 4 teams are already confirmed. Lay City Dwellers on their debut season are in, Madang in their second year are also in, and FC Port Moresby after a year's absence have returned. Hekari, however, remain odds-on favourites. Jeremy Moggy, National EMTV Sports.
Cricket PNG launched the All-Ability Cricket Blo'olgeta program at Amini Park in Port Moresby today. Now in its second year, the program aims to engage many participants as possible in the sport of cricket. This program would not be possible without the support of the Australian High Commission through the AusAid Fund. EMTV's Elijah Levet has more on this report.
The Cricket Law Olgata program has 5 sub-programs, one being the All Ability Cricket program, which was launched today. The program aims to empower people with a disability to play the sport in an effort to boost their self-esteem and fitness.
People living with disability, we try to use cricket as a tool for them to play cricket, build self-confidence, self-esteem about themselves.
The program's main focus is the communities, men and women in the rural areas of Papua New Guinea and people living with disability.
There are also other World Cups such as blind cricket and all abilities as well, where countries such as Australia, New Zealand, India participate in on a regular basis. So eventually, it's only in our second year, but maybe 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years down the track that we could get a national team representing Papua New Guinea and competing in these World Cups and hopefully bringing back the World Cup.
Now in its second year, Cricket PNG is hoping that with the rollout of the program and the success it had from last year, there is a possibility of having a PNG national persons with disability cricket team in the next 4 to 5 years.
Targeting people of all abilities, women, the multicultural sector, village cricketers and traditional cricketers. So it's been very successful, and we're here today for the launch of the All Abilities Cricket program under the umbrella of the Cricket Law Olgata program, and has got a soft spot in my heart where we're targeting people all around the country. It doesn't matter of their ability or where they come from.
Today's launch, there were kids from Cheshire Homes, Red Cross and St. John's, plus boys from the Barramundis and girls from the Lewers who were there to witness the launch and show extra support. Representatives from the Australian High Commission were present as well to give their remarks.
Cricket PNG will be rolling out the Cricket Olgata program in the next coming months in around the country. Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
And that's where we leave True Kai Sports. The weather details after these short messages. Stay with us.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
A quick look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in southern region, Port Moresby, Popondetta and Alotau, mostly fine. That's the same for Daru as well, with brief evening showers expected in Karama. Well, that wraps up another working week. On behalf of the EMTV News team, I'm Tokana Hasavi. You have an enjoyable and safe weekend. Good night.